Blood was never meant to stain a fence post. Not in this stretch of quiet country where dawn usually rose, slow and harmless, and where a man could spend half his life trying to bury the memories that wrecked him. Yet, that morning, Caleb Thorne noticed a rusty smear drying under the early sun, and it stopped him cold. He pulled his horse up short, the leather of his saddle creaking in the stillness. 52 years old and carved rough by weather and loneliness, Caleb had lived alone on this land for over a decade. Routine suited him. Silence suited him even more. Trouble did not belong here yet. Trouble had arrived. He dismounted, boots thudding against hard earth. The streak of blood led toward the far end of his field, the part no traveler ever wandered into unless they were hopelessly lost, or desperate beyond reason. Caleb followed the trail, rifle loose in his grip. Then he found her. A young woman lay collapsed in the grass near the fence line. Her dress was torn, her face smudged with dirt, her breath shallow and uneven. One hand pressed against her ribs, where blood seeped through the cloth. The other dragged across the ground, as if she had been trying to crawl even after her strength gave out. Caleb approached the way a man approaches a frightened, injured creature, slow, measured, her eyelids fluttered. When she looked at him, her green eyes were fogged with pain and fear sharpened by the instinct of someone who had been hunted. He knelt beside her. She flinched from his shadow. When she finally managed to speak, her whisper was barely a breath. "Please, don't send me back." Caleb felt something shift inside him, something he thought had long turned to dust. He scanned the horizon. Fear like hers never traveled alone. He lifted her carefully, surprised by how light she was, and carried her to his cabin. Inside, he cleaned the dirt from her wound, the scent of old coffee and dry wood filling the small room. She winced but didn't cry out. That told him more about what she'd been through than any words. Eventually, she whispered, "Thank you." Caleb nodded. "Someone after you." Her gaze dropped. "Yes, they won't stop." When she gathered enough strength to speak again, she told him her name, Lena Carterand, why she was running. Her family had discovered a valuable vein near Silver Mesa. Word had spread, and a man named Cole Maddox wanted the claim for himself. His hired guns came at night. They killed. They took everything. She survived only because they believed she'd already died. Caleb had heard enough stories like this to know truth when it sat bleeding in front of him. He rose, lifted the rug on the floor, and opened a trapdoor he hadn't touched in years. "You'll stay down there until I see what's coming." She hesitated, then climbed down. Moments later, hoofbeats rolled across the land. 4 riders appeared over the ridge. They reached the fence line, dismounted, studied the ground. One pointed straight toward the cabin. Caleb stepped onto the porch, rifle ready but lowered. The lead rider called out, "We're tracking a thief. She came through here." Caleb's voice stayed even. "No one passed this land today." The men didn't believe him. They moved closer. One examined the dirt near the steps and found small footprints, liners. He pointed at the cabin. "Fresh tracks," he said. "Someone's inside." The leader reached for his pistol. Caleb fired first. Gunfire exploded across the quiet land. 2 men ducked behind the water trough. Another hid near the barn. Caleb moved with the steady certainty of someone who had survived too many fights to waste a single breath. He slipped through the side of the barn, found an old mining explosive he'd kept for years, lit the fuse, and rolled it toward the trough. The blast shattered wood and earth. One rider fell where he stood. Another crawled away wounded. The last man bolted for his horse and fled into the hills. When the gunfire finally faded, the world went still again. Caleb returned to the cabin. Lena opened the door, pale but alive. "Is it over?" she asked. "For now," he said. "But their boss is still out there, and he'll answer for what he did." She tried to stop him from going to town, fear trembling in her voice, but Caleb had already made his choice by nightfall. He had ridden into town to deliver the truth. Days later, county officials arrived. Lena told her story. This time, the law listened. Maddox was arrested, his claims stolen, no longer buried by fear. The ranch grew quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet, warmer somehow. Lena healed on the porch, while Caleb repaired the broken fence. He had spent 12 years shutting the world out. But one wounded stranger at his fence had reminded him of something he had forgotten. A man can hide from his past, but he cannot outrun what he is meant to stand for. And sometimes, the road you fear most is the one that finally leads you home.